Welcome to The Teacher's Story. I'm Jackie Scully. This is a podcast to elevate teacher voice. In this program, you will hear teachers sharing their journey into this profession and their ideas for education. I'm kicking it off Teacher Appreciation Week, which starts May 2nd. This is about honest, vulnerable, inspiring storytelling. It's a time and a space for teachers to share their ideas for the future of education. Teachers are beautiful beings who give their heart and soul to their community. They're innovators, they're inspirational, not only to children, but to the people around them. And they deserve to share their voice. So welcome to The Teacher's Story. Enjoy. Hi, welcome to The Teacher's Story. I'm Jackie Scully, and today we have Joleen Sheldon with us from Denver, Colorado. And she is the founder and creator of Emotional Theater. This is amazing, innovative work. I am so excited for Joleen to talk about it today. It focuses on emotional intelligence, and this is really to support teachers, parents, counselors, therapists, and very much needed in this time that we're living in. So thank you, Joleen, for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
My first question for you is what got you into wanting to work with emotional intelligence and working with children and creating this type of emotional theater work?
Yes, thanks for asking that. So we've all experienced a jolt to our emotional well-being at some point during our lives. And I started emotional theater during one of those times in mine. I had just lost my husband, and I was in the grips of grief and depression, and it had overwhelmed my state of mind. So I thought, what if I created something that had the power to enhance the emotional well-being of others and give me that creative space that I needed to mend? So I dove into the project, and when I emerged, I had written, illustrated, and self-published 2 children's books, Jester Lester and the Mean Green Bean, and the Emotional Theater Talent Show. I had created an interactive website, EQ video series, and a virtual play that uses 3D augmented reality costumes in its production, and produced resources and tools that have the power to enhance the emotional well-being and EQ for both children, teachers, and parents.
I love this. And I know the last time we met, you showed me some of that augmented reality. So hopefully we'll see some of that later on.
Yes.
I think it is so innovative. What kind of led you to creating, like, especially the augmented reality? Was it something that came out of this pandemic time? Like thinking we can connect virtually, and then this is something we could use with children?
Yes. So I started building and creating at the top of the pandemic in 2020. And the very first thing that I created for this business was those 3D characters. And once they were created and started to have life around them, then the sky opened up of the possibilities of how technology can be used for good to enhance, to enhance. There's, a lot of problems with technology going in the wrong way and creating societal divides. This was an opportunity to use it as a tool for good. And so once that was established, the path was being paved of where it could go.
Yeah, and I just want to say I'm so sorry about the loss of your husband, and I think this is a beautiful journey that you're on, that through grief and through loss you found this passion, and you found this sense of purpose. And I've heard so many stories while doing this show of the pandemic being a time of an opening to like, what do I really feel called to do in this life? And I see that in you and the work that you're doing, and it's so different. Like, and this part about technology often getting kind of the negative connotation of there's too much technology or social media hinders public or mental health, but in a way that you can use it to actually enhance mental health and enhance the emotional intelligence. It's funny, I was just teaching about emotional intelligence in my psychology class this past week, and I had a student mention that she's like, I actually think EQ is more important than like anything else, like any other type of intelligence. And I'm like, yes, you're getting it. This is great. And I think this generation really sees that we should be talking about it, right? We should be talking about our mental health. We should be talking about our emotional state. We don't want to brush things under the rug anymore. And I think starting with young kids and making it playful, imaginative, really gets them talking. So by the time they're teenagers, it won't feel like they're hiding. And
Right.
so I love that. Is there anything that you want to showcase while we're here on video about your augmented reality or how you go about doing this with children?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, we use the augmented reality as costumes for a virtual play that is based off of this book. So this book is kind of broken up into 6 chapters, and then within those chapters are acts, and within those acts are parts. And so the characters have costumes, and you change out your costume as you go through the play, acting out the parts. So I can pop on a few of the costumes, and we can experience how you play with them.
Fun. Yay. Oh, I love it. So
So,
cool.
so this is Queenie, and she, her costume and all of these characters come in full face mask, or you can wear their complete costume out.
So neat.
This is
Oh my
Chicky.
goodness.
So, Animal of our character line. This is Jester Lester, or Jay. And then we have a vegetable, a green bean. So these
So fun.
characters, they're super fun. So these characters get changed out in the virtual play, and they are accessed through a smartphone and the Snapchat app.
Mm-hmm.
So how the interaction goes is you get into, you scan the snap code, you get into costume on your phone, and then you can just use it without recording or sending a snap, but you can send a snap, right? So you can record each of the segments and parts of the play, and then send them to friends and family, and then the play continues back and forth through that medium. So that's the interaction and how it works.
And is the storyline with these characters focusing on like different emotions and situations that like kids can kind of digest and work through themselves when they're maybe going through an emotion?
Yes.
And how does that kind of, I don't know if you have a little example of a storyline or how that would play out.
Yes. So the book is broken up into 6 chapters. So chapter 1 is all about Chicky. So she goes through 8 emotions as she journeys through her story. And those are our 8 basic emotions that are sadness, trust, disgust, anticipation, anger, fear, surprise, and joy.
Hmm.
And so each of the characters take a chapter. Chapter 2 is about Jester Lester. He travels through the story, and they're all working their way to the emotional theater talent show. And so the Mean Green Bean is chapter 3. Chapter 4 is Queenie. And when we get to chapter 5, we arrive at the talent show. And we're introduced to 4 additional characters. And the talent show is 1 act per emotion through the 8 characters that are performing. And then chapter 6 is them all navigating back to home. So chapter 1 with Chicky, and spoiler alert for anybody who wants to read it, she hatches from her egg. So she is a newborn chick. And she is in this bright, vivid world. She just popped out of a place that was windowless and soundproof, and here she is. And so she takes off running in this field that she's at, and she arrives at an oak tree. And so he tells her that he has stood there his entire life and watched endless springs come and go and new life before him hatch. And that's what happened, that her mother roosted in a nest before him, and that 5 eggs were laid, and day and night she tended to them. And 3 days ago, out popped her brothers and sisters. And her mother made the tough decision to leave the roost with hungry chicks, and she was left behind. So she's devastated. She is without a family, and he encourages her to go into the forest and find her tribe. And so that is what she does. And so at the end of the book, he fosters Chicky. He creates a coop in his branches, and she goes to live with him. So, brings the story all the way, back around. So in acting out enacting out the play in character, you step into those characters, and then you express out all those emotions as they experience them through the journey.
Oh, I love this story. There's such depth to it. I mean, we can all relate to that feeling of, maybe a child has gone through loss, or gone through maybe not feeling they have the family that supports them, but like, go out and find your tribe. I love that. Like, that one line is so powerful, because it's like, we're all looking for our tribe, and it doesn't have to be, or it may not be, your biological family,
right?
And it's your family, community.
Yes, your family is the people you make your family, correct? It's who you pull into your world, and that's powerful. And that's that's where EQ has such power, right? It builds stronger relationships. You're able to communicate more effectively. You're able to listen more closely in communication, and you build stronger bonds. You build your tribe.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we talk about, like, when we do like an EQ inventory, when I did this in psychology, like, there's 4 key areas, and like, you need to be able to understand your own emotional state, right? Then you need to see how you can perceive other people's emotional state. How do you communicate that, right? Like, how do you relate to others and have empathy? And then managing your emotions in different states, particularly when you are in situations where you have to be a student, or be in a profession, or be in, how you kind of code switch, if you will, your EQ in different states. So it's something we don't think about, but it's a skill that we can learn. And I think it should be a critical part in education. And that kind of gets me into the part I usually talk about on here is, how you see this transforming education, or how you want to implement this into the classroom. Like, if you want to talk about teachers you've worked with or schools, or your vision for the future with this program and how you can see it be a critical piece in the classroom, because I think it would be very, very powerful to use.
Yes. So EQ can be broken into two components: your intrapersonal skills, or your personal competencies. And those are your self-discovery, your self-awareness of your emotions, your self-regulation of those emotions, and then building all your tools in your toolkit to self-regulate, become aware that thoughts are your emotions. What you're thinking about is the way that you feel. A lot of people like to, project out things in the future of what's to come, and lots of worry of what's to come. And it's not happening in the now, but because you're thinking about it and it's giving you negative thoughts, you're experiencing that negative thought in the now. Same with, past memories. You pull those back up and you mull them over in your head, and then you're experiencing those negative feelings in the now when you don't have to. So tools and resources, and build your toolkit to be like, okay, I'm having this thought and I'm having this feeling because of this thought. And how do I change it? Or how do I get a new perspective? Or how do I, shift so that I have a better thought, so that I'm reaching for a better emotion and a better feeling? So, so a lot of things came out of the pandemic. We learned the importance of resiliency and facing adversity, and educators and students and parents all had to adapt to new ways of learning and also teaching. And so that led into flexibility, of us being flexible to shift and use creativity and finding new ways to engage and enhance the educational experience. And technology played a key role in all of this, and will, continue to as we move further. And all of that, shone a light on the need for community, right? We were distanced, and that interaction was broken, and so that needs to be enhanced. And EQ can really aid in that significantly. So emotional theater wants to bolster this experience, and we want to do that in a way that doesn't put added work or pressure onto teachers' workload, right? We want this to be easy and accessible, and something that they can just drop in and incorporate. So we've created free lesson plans as a first step of all of the tools and resources that are available on the website. Have a lesson plan so that you can just drop it into your plan of what you'd like to teach, and just add it in. And so we've created bite-sized, they're simple and easy to play EQ videos. So there's 40 of them. They start with intrapersonal skills and work down through interpersonal skills, and they cover the breadth of EQ. They're not only enhancing your students, but they're enhancing you as a teacher just by absorbing the content. So it's a win-win, right? for
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
everybody. And then we've created a slew of learn and practice tools that are engaging and that gets everybody interacting, and through dance and music and poetry and art and drawing and creativity, releasing that. And I believe that it's just such a powerful tool to be creative. And theater lends itself to emotional intelligence.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
It's just such a beautiful segue of stepping into character. Augmented reality costumes gives you the ability to really, enhance your facial expressions and your body language. And in doing so, watching other people, you're just building a strong connection and enhancing your expression of and observation of emotion. We have printable PDFs that are learning guides and journals and games that are easy and simple to incorporate in. The Emotional Theater Talent Show book itself has a English language arts program to it, with vocabulary and reading, writing, listening skills. And the augmented reality virtual play. And then we have EQ coaching for teachers and parents.
That's wonderful. So robust, all of this. And you're getting ready to launch all of this spring, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is gonna have a splashy launch in September, and so we're building up to
Wonderful.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be great if once it really launches and takes off and you start having maybe teachers here and there or schools explore to really build this into professional development to offer for schools. And I could see it being a really important piece of like the elementary level, programming. And I think eventually, like if you looked at, what would be the stories for middle school, I think middle school could definitely use EQ because their emotions are all over the place. So like how we manage our emotions when we're going through our hormonal shifts and puberty and all of that. And I think at the high school level, like I tried to work on civil discourse. So like EQ with also how do we talk about difficult conversations at that higher level, but maintain empathy and maintain active listening and learning about another perspective. Because just like you said, theater is such a great vehicle for, honing EQ because you are literally stepping into someone else's shoes, right? When you're stepping into someone else's shoes as a character, it is like anything, it's a muscle, right? Your EQ is a muscle, your emotional state is a muscle, and you're practicing that when you're in theater and when you're in that mode. And you can definitely do that all the way through the grades. I would love to see this in schools and be like an actual like professional development program for teachers. And it definitely is beneficial for teachers because, one thing I think our takeaway from the pandemic is we don't just teach content, and we had to go through a lot of situations with students where we were having to have those conversations with them and foster their emotional state and be almost not really a counselor, but be like this advisor and be this active listener and learning a little bit more about what's going on in their own lives and how that is affecting their education. So it's definitely a benefit for teachers all around. So I love it. I think this is so innovative and creative and very much timely. So awesome work, Joleen.
Thank you.
So anything you want to share with our listeners about your where they could find you, your website, contact, and I'll include that in the show notes so they can reach out to you.
Yeah, so there is a free theater tour. If anybody wants to dive deeper into learning about emotional theater, emotionaltheater.com is the website, and they can access the calendar to book a free theater tour. And then we're having an EQ series that is in May. So there that is in conjunction with Calvin Lawrence, who does Calvin Lawrence Speaks. So him and I will do a tandem EQ series in May. So
That's awesome.
So people can sign up for that. And the Emotional Theater Talent Show virtual play has the first full chapter is free on the website. So you just need to become a member, and you can access the whole first chapter and get all the costumes and all of that for free. And there's a bunch of free tools and resources in the get emotional component that you can just go on and use and interact with. And I encourage everybody to do that as well.
Thank you. I love this duo with Calvin Lawrence.
Yes.
I have had him on the show as well, and he is amazing, such a motivator. I can definitely see this collaboration with yourself with EQ. That's going to be awesome. So definitely will add all of that information in the show notes so everyone can look out for that coming up. This has been so exciting, and thank you so much again for coming on the show.
Thank you
really
so much
great
for
work.
having me. Thank you so much.
Yes, and we'll stay in touch, and I will be definitely accessing, all of your website and your launch. I'll be ready to see when that comes out too later in the year. So thank you so much, Joleen, and have a great day.
Thank you so much. You as well.